Kamusta? Mabuhay, magandang gabi, and welcome back to MG and Diego. Ako po si Ovela, and today we will be reacting to a very interesting video. I'm saying that because of the title of the video that reads, Do Filipinos Speak Spanish? Debunking Myths. I know for a fact that a lot of your last names are Spanish, or at least derived from Spanish. And I also know that in Filipino, Tagalog, there are some Spanish words like pero. You know what I mean? So I think this video is going to be very interesting. But before we start, as usual, please consider following me on Instagram at Music Game News. And also, I finished my last beat. I will be introducing it to you next week. There you go. All right, without further ado, let's get to it.
Yo vivo en México y cuando la gente me escuchan hablar en español, todos piensan que en Filipinas hablamos español, pero no.
Ah. But to be honest, a lot of Filipinos also look Spanish, you know? Trisha Velarmino, like Bilarmino.
No, para que, a ver si traigo mi pasaporte.
Es un sol, ¿no? Toma. Es un sol. ¿No quieres tomar un café?
No, es muy tarde.
¿De qué país eres?
Filipinas.
Ah, filipensa.
The Philippines was a former Spanish colony, right? So how come we don't speak Spanish? Or do we? Prior to colonization, the area now known as the Philippines was a group of islands connected by water. Independent, advanced, socially complex, and ethno-linguistically distinct communities ruled by respective tribal leaders. Most of the time, peacefully coexisted with each other.
I'm so excited because this sounds very interesting and I like how she is presenting the subject.
Trade with neighboring nations to the north like China, Japan, and Taiwan, and to the south like Malaysia and Indonesia was commonplace. When Fernando de Magallanes arrived in 1521, he united all islands into one nation under the Spanish crown and named it Las Filipinas after Philip II of Spain. From then on, the Philippines came under Spain's control and sphere of influence, slowly but surely for the next 333 years.
That's a long time.
10 to each. Bayad ka? Saan ka nagbayad?
The archipelago used to be Spain's primary foothold in Asia. Due to the Philippines' unique geographical location, not only did it become an important base for the empire's stake in the profitable spice trade, it was also
It's so beautiful. I want to be there, man. Come on.
a strategic location for conducting commerce from the Americas to the Far East. What else? Surprise, surprise. Most towns and cities also have Hispanic names. You've got the obvious
Laguna.
ones, towns being named after places within
El Nido.
peninsular Spain.
It's true. I never mentioned it in my videos, but yeah, I did notice that the names were very Hispanic, you know?
And towns named after saints. Anyone here from Nueva Vizcaya, Nueva Ecija, Pamplona Negros, Córdoba, Cebu? I bet
Córdoba.
you've at least been once to a place named Santa Cruz, San Pablo, or San Nicolas. Another thing worth mentioning is that having a Hispanic last name
There you go. What did I say at the beginning?
or a Hispanic sounding last name is a norm. I can bet you that the
Garcia, Martinez, Rodriguez, Fernandez, Sanchez, Lopez, Martin, Perez, Gonzalez, y Mohammed. Mohammed? What? That is not Hispanic.
top 20 Filipino last names are all Hispanic in origin.
Bautista, like the actor. There you go. Who is part Filipino.
I can tell you how many Cruces, Santoses, Reyes, Garcias, Mendozas, Bautistas that I know. If you're from the Philippines,
But see, she pronounces them with a Hispanic accent. Filipinos don't.
leave a comment below on what do you think is the most common surname, or in Tagalog, apellido. Pero en Spanish lo
Apellido.
decimos
Apellido, apellido.
apellido.
See, these
to
guys are...
streamline government processes
See, those faces are Filipinos.
like census and tax collection, and to further strengthen their rule, Spanish colonizers enacted a law making it mandatory for everyone to adopt a surname.
I feel like she is reading from somewhere, you know? Because she's not looking at the camera straight like I'm looking at you like this, right? She's looking here, like above. You know, so she's reading something. And like, she's not making any mistakes, which means she's not freestyling. She's definitely reading.
There was literally a catalog where people can choose Spanish or local surnames from. Most of the indigenous lowland population and some Chinese immigrants as well chose to change their last names to Hispanic last names, probably believing that this change might benefit them.
Yeah,
Food.
that'll make things
oh
easier.
Yes, you've got afritada, caldereta, menudo, mechado, longaniza, picadillo,
Wow.
arroz caldo, tocino, tapa, even adobo. The list goes on.
Adobo is a name derived from Spanish? Huh. The most like common and popular Filipino dish, right? Adobo.
There are roughly around 4,000 Spanish loanwords in Tagalog, the most spoken dialect in the country, and roughly around 6,000 in Bisaya, another
Bisaya,
widely spoken dialect. Lots of words are spelled differently or bastardized, and lots of phrases are used in a different context. These two dialects in particular, because the regions where it's most widely spoken were centers of Spanish governance, which are Manila and Cebu.
Yeah. Ooh, look at the lights.
75. Toma.
75.
Gracias. Almost everyone in the Philippines knows how to count in Spanish up to 100, and they don't even know it. Así que, por ejemplo, nosotros también contamos 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The way we say the time in the Philippines is also the same. Por ejemplo, les doy un ejemplo, digamos a la 1, a las 12, a las 3. Eso es un ejemplo.
An ejemplo. See how she pronounces example? An ejemplo.
De frase en Filipinas. Anong oras na? Alauna na ma. Days of the week and months are also the same. Nosotros también digamos enero, febrero, marzo, pero las letras son diferentes. Por ejemplo, marzo escribimos con S en vez de Z. Lots of words related to kitchenware or cooking are also similar.
Zapatos. Cinelas.
Por ejemplo, los cubiertos, digamos igual, tenedor, cuchara, cuchillo, mesa, silla, casi todos los sustantivos, la verdad. And so are things in relation to law and governance. And then there's Chavacano, a Spanish-based Creole language widely spoken in the Zamboanga region. Brief history. In the hopes of further uniting the archipelago under Christianity and under their sphere of influence, the Spaniards established Zamboanga as a foothold in the predominantly Muslim
Wow, it's so beautiful.
South. A means to communicate was needed between the locals and the Spaniards. In many cases, some Spaniards will learn the local language to gain trust and establish a connection with the local population. But in this case, a grammatically simplified form of a language used for communication between two people not sharing common language was established. This is what you call a pidgin, which then eventually
She made a beginner's mistake while positioning the camera and herself to film this video, because clearly the light is behind her, which makes her look very dim, you know? She should have taken the place of the camera and put the camera where she is so that the light could be on her. That's why you can see the light so bright behind her, you know?
turned into Chavacano. Although spelling of words may differ, it is very similar that a person speaking Chavacano can
Buenos días, mi nombre es Ovela. Mucho gusto de conocer contigo. ¿Cómo está usted?
sufficiently and aptly converse to a Spanish-speaking person.
¿Son de Tailandia?
Filipinos. Aquí está
Filipinas.
nuestra guía, Mayra.
Hola.
Ella va a explicar qué es eso.
Ahorita, ¿a qué te refieres?
During Spain's 333-year-long rule, Spanish was, of course, a widely spoken language. It was even officially considered a national language alongside English and Tagalog.
Really?
Until it officially wasn't in 1987. After 300 years
When I was born.
years of rule, you'd think Spanish would be widely spoken across
Yeah.
the country today like it is in most Latin American countries, but no. For almost a century now, English has been the country's lingua franca. What happened? First
Yeah,
of all, the
what's the
majority of the
reason?
indigenous population of the Philippines remained intact. Unlike in Latin America, where the indigenous population was wiped out not only by the colonizers, but also by imported diseases. Furthermore, because of the Philippines' relative distance and isolation from the rest of the Spanish colonies, not a lot of Spanish people emigrated to the archipelago. Next, in terms of literacy and education, during the Spanish colonial period, as it is today, it is a privilege
She's cute.
only reserved for those in the upper class of Philippine society, meaning Spanish-born immigrants, also known as Peninsulares, Philippine-born Spanish people, also known as Insulares, and half Filipino, half Spanish people, also known as Mestizos. Basically, a minority
Mixed people.
of the population. In the greater part of colonial rule, the majority of the population didn't have access to education. Despite developing a public school system towards the latter part of colonial rule,
Yeah, but how would you explain that Filipinos can speak English and not Spanish? I mean, if they don't have access to education, it probably means that they don't have access to English as well.
the masses still were not able to adequately express themselves in Spanish and were still more comfortable in their native tongue. To add to that, throughout all the years of colonial rule, everyday transactions of the masses were conducted in the native language.
It just faded away, I guess, unfortunately. Because I think the Spanish language is gorgeous. Wow.
Big picture, there really was no true social and cultural and linguistic assimilation that happened in the Philippines. Towards the end of the Spanish colonial rule, a strong sense of nationalism also emerged in the Philippines, mainly propagated by the Filipino Spanish-speaking, mostly European-educated class, aka Ilustrados. Filipinos longed to
Ilustrados.
distinguish themselves from their colonizers. So when did the transition to English begin? Well, to begin with, Spain ceded the Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico to the United States in 1898 under the Treaty of Paris. This means American dominance in the archipelago henceforth. The Americans also set out to establish a Philippine public school system and a system of governance mirrored after the American systems, all of course anchored in English.
So that's the difference, I think. The main difference is that Americans actually made sure that Filipinos, or at least some Filipinos, would learn the English language by installing a school system.
The masses now have access to learn a language more than their native tongue. The rest is history, as they say. At the early stages of American colonization, Filipinos ate up American hegemony, and they still do. The American dream is still strong amongst Filipinos. Just look at the Filipino diaspora all across 50 American states.
Filipino nurses will fill states' shortage. Huh.
In the Philippines, American pop culture still reigns supreme. Consumer behavior is still mostly dictated by what's trendy in the United States.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but in like American TV shows and movies, the Filipino, if you will, cliches are there. Like every time there is a nurse in a TV show or a movie, it's usually a Filipino, you know, or a maid or something. You know, they always choose Filipinos, and I'm like, really, you know?
If you have any other ideas as to why Filipinos don't speak Spanish, please share your insights in the comment box below and share your thoughts. It's kind of a pena, como digamos en español, because
Ooh, man, her Spanish is just amazing.
what if we spoke Spanish?
It would
What
be fantastic.
our life and economy right now.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. I just want to clarify that I did not learn Spanish in a school.
Yeah.
I just pushed myself to be in a Spanish-speaking environment and mostly just put myself in places where no one speaks English. I'm gonna have a video about how to effectively learn Spanish without taking classes or paying for courses. So keep it here, and thank you so much for always supporting me. Have a great week.
I really like her. She did a fantastic job. She is fluent clearly in English, Spanish, and Tagalog or Filipino or wherever her native language is. And seriously, like, her English is, wow, fantastic. Her accent is fantastic. Her Spanish is fantastic. I'm really impressed with her. I really liked how she did this video and everything. And yeah, the best way to learn a language is exactly like she said. You know, you have to immerse yourself in the culture from which the language is from. You know, like, I did learn English in school, but I did not learn how to speak it in school. It's I learned how to speak English by speaking the language with Kenyan people, because I lived in Kenya for 5 years and their second language is English. And also it's when I came to Canada, because in Canada, Quebec. In Quebec we speak English and French. And then I met my ex, who was also my co-host on the channel. She spoke mainly English, so I had to step up my game and learn the language, you know. And yeah, so I would love to learn how to speak Tagalog and Spanish. So hopefully after the pandemic is done, I'll be able to visit the Philippines whenever I want to and feel like it, you know, so that I can, well, visit the Philippines and practice the language. And also the same for Spanish. I would love to visit, I don't know, Colombia or Mexico or Spain, you know, for a few months to learn the language. Even Portuguese, I'm a big fan of Portuguese. Portuguese is like the sexy cousin of Spanish in my opinion. I love Portuguese. So there you have it, guys. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on this. And clearly, Filipinos don't really speak Spanish. Yes, maybe some of them understand it, you know. A few of them speak it, and a lot of them use some words, but they don't even realize probably that it's Spanish. You know what I mean? Just like Algerians with French. You know, like we have a bunch of French words in our Arabic language, and I'm pretty sure that some people don't know that it's French. So there you go. Maraming salamat po. Thank you so much for joining me. Gracias mucho. And take care of yourselves. Have a great day. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Hasta luego. I think that's how you say it in Spanish. Thank you for watching. Subscribe here, and please like the video to show your support and appreciation for my work, and turn on the notification bell to be poked for future content. Yeah.